Hi there, and welcome to today's episode of A Different Way of Seeing, a podcast where we talk all things disability. I'm your host, Lois Strachan, and today we are talking with Naomi Riley, who's joining us from Wisconsin in the United States of America. Naomi, welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us on A Different Way of Seeing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Well, it's really great to have you with us. So perhaps we should start off by asking you just to let our audience know a little bit about who you are and your story.
My story began early on in childhood. I was diagnosed with a terrible illness as a youth. And at the age of 7, I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And the doctors thought that I had had it since I was 3 years old.
Mm.
So back in my time, not to age myself at all, but back in my time, there wasn't a lot of therapy or regimens, medication regimens for what I had. And so the doctors, it was kind of trial and error when I was growing. And unfortunately for me, I developed some growth deformities, and I did have certain things wrong with me as I was growing through my childhood, teens, and young adult. Now, fast forward to why I'm here today. In 2017, I was hit by a distracted driver in a car accident. I didn't see this coming at all. And I suffered a brain injury and several other injuries from that accident. And so my time has been a little rough. As is, we get through life. I think that we can all go through life, and there's always ups and downs to everything. However, my first 50 years, I guess you could say, hasn't been ideal for for many. So I went on a course after my brain injury to really help redefine certain things that we're seeing in society. We have a lot of epidemics that we're seeing globally, and I went on a mission to really put my pain from what I've dealt with into a greater purpose to help create some lasting changes.
Great. I want to just dive a little bit deeper, if I may, into some of what you've shared with us there. The rheumatoid arthritis, are you comfortable talking about how that presented in your life as a young child?
Yeah, as a young child, I had intense swelling in my joints,
Mhm.
and it would be really hard for me to walk and write or do certain things. I would cry a lot. I would have fevers. I didn't understand what was going on. And I remember asking God then, why am I here?
Mhm.
The pain was so excruciating at times that I didn't understand it. And so that's how it presented itself. I would have just terrible fevers, and my joints would just swell up so bad. I just really, focused in at that time. What were the things that I could control in my life to really help it? And I did those things.
Mhm.
But it did take a lot to get through all of that.
Did that have an impact on your schooling as well, on the way that you were
Oh,
perceived by your fellow classmates?
absolutely. Absolutely. When we're not feeling our best, we don't
Hmm.
want to perform at our best.
Yeah.
And for me, I needed a lot of rest and therapy. And it really reflected at times in my school life because one, I was different.
Hmm.
Two, I didn't feel well. And three, I needed a lot more rest than probably most students at that time.
Yeah.
And I would remember I would have to sit aside for certain, activities or things, or have to go to various different classes per se,
Hmm.
just to get through. But I did work with counselors and special teachers that would help me from time to time. Now, it didn't take away some of the mental anguish that I dealt with, having to go through childhood having a disability. And, from that time, I think that it really helped empower me to do what I've helped create today.
Absolutely. I think
Mhm.
so often what we experience when we're younger does have very positive results later on in life. So,
Yes.
yeah. Turning then to the motor vehicle accident.
Mhm.
Can you take us through the process of your recovery from that accident in which you sustained the brain injury?
Yes. Yeah. So my recovery was very slow.
Hmm.
It presented itself as if it was a mild traumatic brain injury. However, over time, my doctors would find out over the course of 9 months that I had one of the worst illnesses now. um, that mankind can have. It's called trigeminal and occipital neuralgia, and that wasn't determined until my second MRI, which was 9 months after my accident. And so I talk a lot about inner strength and believing in yourself more than what others might say
Hmm.
around you, right? Because if you're just listening to what others are saying, it's not always the right thing.
Yeah.
And this can be, as you're growing as a child to your adulthood. If I would have listened to my doctors when I was young, my parents were told she is not going to be able to walk when she is older. She's going to be in a wheelchair, and this is going to be her life. Now, if I would have sat and listened and just accepted that energy or that direction, I might have well done that. And I might have not pursued to rehabilitate myself, making sure that I walked every day or making sure that I could do the things that I needed to do to keep my mobility. So here again in childhood, I said, no, I'm going to overcome this some way or another. And I was able to do that. So with my brain injury too, I was told, you're okay. It's going to be okay. You're just having these these things that have happened from a serious concussion, and your injuries are, not, they'll heal over time.
Hmm.
But I would have, to be honest, I would have these excruciating pains where I would have to have someone bring me to the emergency room because I was in so much pain. And again, they didn't understand what was going on. Finally, they gave me another MRI, a brain MRI. And that's where they determined that I have one of my nerves in my right occipital area is compressed with an artery. And when that inflames, it could cause the most excruciating pain. And I also have it in the back of my skull. And sometimes it takes the doctors, it takes, the techs quite some time to diagnose.
Hmm.
And so when I go and I talk about, mental health or recovery or, things that are really important to me, I talk about the importance of believing in yourself and keep going with what your inner strength is telling you to do.
Great. Just to go back to what you said there, I mean, I just want to make a quick observation that the choice that you made to practice your mobility and to
Mhm.
navigate that
Yeah.
to prevent your becoming a wheelchair user in no way reflects the fact that for many people wheelchairs are incredibly valuable tools
Oh, yes.
that give them independence and freedom. So we just want to stipulate that we're not saying that using a wheelchair is a bad thing, We're just saying that for you, it wasn't a choice that you wanted to consider unless you had to.
Exactly,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay,
And
carry on.
just to, just to really emphasize on that point, um, I, you give yourself motivation.
Hmm.
Self-motivation is probably one of the biggest things that we can have within ourselves to reach goals.
Yeah.
So let me go back to your question on where was I at after my brain injury?
Hmm.
I was at a point where I couldn't understand story structure. I couldn't understand a lot of things. I had to learn how to put together my sentences. I had to learn how to remember things again, and that took a lot of time. And so I had to put one foot in front of the other and really focus in on the things that I could control that day and keep moving forward, little tiny steps to keep pushing to reach my goals. And I think that that's where I was going with as far as who I was in
Hmm.
my childhood too, is that no matter what we're facing, is that even if we just move the needle forward just a little bit
Little
more
bit. Yeah.
every day, we're gonna get there.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree for myself as well. I am someone who is incredibly goal focused. And for me, particularly in terms of my disabilities, I find that having something that I'm moving towards, that I'm striving for, stops me from getting caught up in the challenges, the obstacles, and it helps to pull me forwards towards that future. So that's my interpretation of what you're saying there, but I think it's such a strong motivating factor for many of us who are facing challenges. So
Yes,
thanks
we
for
all
saying that.
do.
Yeah. Well, we have a choice. We have a
Yes,
choice of whether to keep moving forwards or to stop and at times I think we all have to also stop and regroup our
yes,
energy, regroup our just our ability to move, or just to figure out what the next step is. And that's natural, that's normal. But
yes.
I do agree with what I'm hearing you saying, is that having something that you're moving towards is just so much easier to motivate oneself to.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So the term distracted driver, it's not one that I've actually heard before coming across your story. I
Mhm.
think I've got a good understanding. I mean, it sounds like a pretty self-explanatory term,
Mhm.
but can you explain what a distracted driver accident actually is?
Yes, so it just means that either you or the person that was driving a vehicle, doesn't have to be just an automobile, it can
Mhm.
be a boat, a motorcycle, it can be anything. It means that you were not paying attention to the actual road, you were paying attention to something else that would have been distracting you. And that can go from a cell phone, it can go
Yeah.
from looking outside the window. It can go from kids arguing in the back seat. There's
Yeah.
so many distractions around us anymore. And, you know, that's just one of the epidemics that we're seeing in our culture anymore. In the United States, there's so many people that are killed in accidents due to distracted driving. And it was my mission to just really fix the distracted driving problem in
Mm.
2018 after I became so upset about being hit by a distracted driver.
Yeah, there's so many different demands on our time these days, and we are so pressurized. I mean, technology is really convenient, but so often it becomes more of a master than
Mhm.
a tool.
Yes.
And we feel pressurized to respond to text messages, to Facebook posts, to X posts, to whatever particular platform is your choice, which that can, I can imagine, put a lot of risk into driving. But as you said as well, it's also the human element of something happening around you that takes your attention away from, well, I can't even say the road because, as you say, you could be in a boat, you could be in an
Yeah.
aeroplane, there's all sorts of different things. Although I imagine there are fewer passing vehicles and
Yeah.
up in the sky. So,
Yeah.
well, we hear enough about collisions, so maybe I'm not so accurate about that either. But yeah, okay. So it is pretty self-explanatory then. It's a distraction that means that the person in control of whatever vehicle is not paying attention, and it has an impact on what happens in front of them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you
And
for explaining that.
yeah, we do our best, to make sure that everyone is educated to not be distracted while they're
Mm,
driving any vehicle. However, there is so much more that can be done.
yeah.
And, it was my vision to just really help youth understand that they can help solve problems too,
Hmm.
even though they might not be old enough to drive a motorized vehicle. We still can teach them these are the warning signs of distracted driving.
Yeah.
So I went on a mission, I went on a mission to really help change the way that, young students see a lot of these cultural epidemics. It wasn't just distracted driving, it was so much. We've allowed this culture to kind of happen, right?
Hmm.
These little things kind of creep in, and then there's like no education on how we're going to fix them when they happen. And that goes, that we look at the invention of vehicles, let's just say, and, they started over 100 years ago. And over time, our culture has sped up, and we've gone so fast to, everything.
Yeah.
And there is not a lot of education on why it's so important to slow down and understand exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. But
Now,
yeah, and I
go
think as well, there's a responsibility on pedestrians to play
Yes,
a role in that as well.
absolutely. And bicyclists, people that are not driving, they're just walking, or, they're running, or they're bicycling. Those things are, really, really important. And in the United States, we're starting to develop laws for, these individuals if they are hit by a distracted driver.
Mm, mm.
But more can be done, right? And
Yeah.
so it was my mission to really go on this, I guess, down this rabbit hole to see what could be done. And in 2018, like I said, I was just so upset that I was
Mm,
hit by a distracted driver. My life changed forever. And this distracted driver's life did not. And
yeah.
so I decided I wanted to create something that could help educate youth and just help them understand this is what can be done. And it's okay to just be able to create. I look at myself sometimes as an artist, a creative artist,
Hmm.
because it was just my civic duty to help kids and youth understand a little bit more what's going on. So that's just the distracted driving piece of it.
Yeah.
What I started out doing was interviewing with first responders, judges, police officers, people that are just right there when these things happen. And then I started working with an education team, teachers, and those professionals that know how to create curriculums and things like
Hmm.
that. And so we put together just some really cool activity books for K through adult ages, just
Hmm.
on distracted driving. But then we kept taking it a step farther. or I did. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so we've got this distracted driving problem down. Why don't we look at 10 of our country's biggest dilemmas or epidemics that are going on and create a type of ecosystem or something where it's easily digestible for students and individuals to understand here's the epidemics that we're seeing, here's how we can create change, and here we're providing you with all the information that you have. Now, it took us, or that you need, like emergency numbers, statistics
Mm.
of a country, and just lots and lots of free resources. And so that was my vision a long time ago. And it took quite some time to develop, and we're constantly in development because I believe that we can always get better.
Yeah.
Just checking back to my youth is like you can always reach these goals that you're achieving. No, it's hard at times. It's hard. Like you said, you have to take a few steps back
Yeah.
and then keep moving forward. And it's the hills and valleys that you're going to still go through to get there.
How did you decide on those 10 main focus areas?
Well, I vividly remember lying in a hospital bed after my accident, and just I get emotional once in a while, and this really hit me is in the United States we have so much gun violence.
Hmm.
And, I was really tired of seeing all of the, school shootings and things that, we're doing here or allowing to happen in our country. And I am like, why hasn't this been solved yet? Why haven't we done other things to help, create a more peaceful planet or a more peaceful
Hmm.
country, right? And so, I felt the desire and urge, and I really prayed about it. I'm a spiritual person, and um, I just prayed about it. And then I had become really good friends with another organization in my hometown, and they were fighting discrimination.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, discrimination's up there,
Yeah.
acts of violence are out there, bullying and cyberbullying is up there. And a lot of the people that work on our team have been directly affected or they have lost a loved one to one of these issues. So part of what our organization does is give back to students that have been affected
Hmm.
or they've, witnessed these incidents firsthand.
Yeah.
And it's so, so important that, one, we're just there for each other and help, students kind of make it past or make it through.
Hmm.
And then the other is just showing them, hey, you can do something about it now and share this person's story to help others see, hey, before I decide to make this choice, I better make this choice
Yeah.
first.
And one of this maybe, I don't know, as a side effect or a consequence of the work that you've been doing with the youth is a passion for inclusive education. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think that this is one of my most favorite topics. Um, because we all do not learn at the same pace or speed, nor do we have all the capabilities of learning this way. We're all uniquely made,
Yeah.
very uniquely made. So, what in the world are we doing mainstreaming, this education of ours? I think it's great for most. But again, we all learn at different ways and
Mm.
we should be allowed to learn at these different ways by, you know, just being included on all of these various levels. And yes, I get it is so I guess maybe difficult in some ways to incorporate that into, the mainstream, but including everyone is so important in education. Um, just knowing what I dealt with as a youth and knowing and seeing others what they, deal with. Um, I think that there is a real misconception as far as the inclusive education. There's so much more that can be done. Let's just say that. Um,
I think the schooling system around the world is largely, and I don't want to generalize, but it's largely set up assuming that we all learn the same way. But if you look at kind of learning theory, there's a lot of difference that happens in the way people interpret information, retain
mhm,
information, build on the information they've been given, and
mhm,
then go from there. And so it's not looking just at perhaps a marginalized community like those with disabilities, be they learning conditions or physical disabilities, but it's really saying that to be fully inclusive, each individual person, regardless of their abilities or their strengths, their talents, will learn in a different way. Now, granted,
mhm.
that's going to place a lot of pressure on the education providers, but it's a very radical and I believe quite important strategy for the future.
It is so important. It is probably one of the most important things out there. Now with the advancements of I do believe that this can happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, before, no, we just had one way, and that's just the way. And I do believe now, I love AI and love to study it, and now can see that so anyone can plug in who they are, what their likes are, everything about themselves, and AI can spit out the perfect way for a student or individual to learn.
Yeah.
And how great is that, right?
I think with it, I mean, AI is still such a baby
Oh,
in
yes.
terms of its development, but I think that we are on the cusp of a really interesting next few years as AI develops and as we start finding smarter human ways of
Yeah.
utilizing AI and the opportunities that it presents. Now, I'm not saying that AI doesn't have some challenges with it.
No,
And
yes.
many people would be going, AI, oh, it's dreadful.
Ah,
And
no, not AI.
like you, I'm quite excited to see what is being made possible through AI. And I think in the education field, there's so much potential there.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. And just to preface that and just make sure that the audience understands that, yes, AI is great. However,
Hmm.
it does make mistakes. So whenever I'm in AI, I always, or I'm educating in AI, I will always say cross-reference this.
Yeah.
Cross-reference, do due diligence and make
Check.
sure
Yeah.
everything is followed up with
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah, so um, with our project, the Text Wedge project,
Mhm.
we incorporate all of these things, from all of the 10 pledges that the organization represents. It really is helping others understand, you know what, even if all of these epidemics went away, there would still be other issues.
Yeah.
And we could be a more peaceful, kinder planet in our world. Our goal is just to help, one student at a time. But we're going big, and we're we're making sure that at least in the United States that the students and the general public know where the emergency numbers are, they know where the statistics are at, and anyone around the globe can go onto our website and download our free information that talks about any one of these issues under
Mm,
the teacher resources.
great. Let's talk about the text pledge initiative in a little more detail.
Right, for sure. So again, our goal or my goal in the beginning was the distracted driving
Yes.
issue, right? And, I am a spiritual person. I put a lot of thought and prayer into everything that I do. God was just telling me, I believe at this time, do something about it, turn your pain into purpose. Because we can sit there and play the woe is me card
Mhm.
as long as we want. And I talk with psychologists, psychotherapists, and so many others where they're like, oh my word, yes, you could have just sat in that energy to say, well, woe is me, I can't do anything else, right? But I chose not to. I chose to use my energy and pray and say, I'm going to do something about this. And every day, whatever it is I do, I'm going to still dedicate some time to make sure that this moves forward in whatever way that I can. And so I committed myself that long ago. Okay, so the topics were distracted driving. That was the first tactic. Let's find some education around this. Let's
Mm.
let's get in touch with the curriculum designers. Let's get in touch with all of these individuals that could help create this. The second topic was discrimination. We're seeing a
Mhm.
lot of that around, and it's not just on races, it's on disabilities as well. And that's not fair. And
Oh,
so
and gender and sexual
yes,
orientation, there's
all of
so much discrimination.
all
Mhm.
of that. And so we developed curriculums for that as well, from K through college age. Then we're going to look at acts of violence. There's been tons of acts of violence globally,
Yeah.
right? And, just teaching youth, it starts out with youth. Because unfortunately, after we're grown adults, changing our neural pathways sometimes is very, very difficult.
It takes a bit more work. Yeah.
It does take a little bit more work. So if we help our youth understand at an early age, hey, this is not a good thing, over time, they will change. Over
Mhm.
time, they will see, okay, I know I shouldn't be doing this, right? The next topic was prevent bullying and cyberbullying. We've seen
Mhm.
that. This is our digital culture that we've
Yeah.
that we've allowed to happen, but really haven't set in a lot of regulations. Now we're
Yeah.
getting better, but we're getting there. Raising mental health. This is a
Mm.
topic that I love to talk about because it is so crucial that students understand their neural pathways can be developed or redeveloped at any point in their life.
Yeah.
You're never in a set moment of your in time. Your situation can and always will change.
Yeah.
And so it's important that uh, students in particularly understand that because when the brain goes into crisis mode, its abilities are to freeze, to flight, to fight, or to fawn. And when a student is bullied or some of these other things are happening that we're talking about, say a distracted driving incident or
Mhm.
gun violence, our brains are freezing, fighting, or fawning. And how a brain acts in that crisis mode is very, very important
Mhm.
to show these students, hey, slow down. You're going to get through it. Let's help you get through it. And so providing those crisis hotlines is so, so important.
Yeah.
Um, Another topic that we really have addressed is to stop domestic violence and assault. Now, our topics are very age specific. So when you're looking at our K through 1, you're going to just see some of our pledges. We're very, 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 very sensitive to the topics
Mhm.
that we bring up. But again, that was another big dilemma that we're seeing all over globally. Another one was ending driving under the influence. At least here in the United States, that is something it's happening, and it's not something that should be happening. Another one was to stop human trafficking. That is a horrible global epidemic, and we felt it was really important for students to understand these are the warning signs, and these are the things that you can do to help prevent this. So I encourage anyone to really go onto our website, but we also incorporated to protect animal rights because animals are very important to us and to protect the environment because there's so many things that are going on in society and these kids need to our students need to understand that yes, we've created this culture, but we can still rise above and working together, we can help solve some of these things. So that is a little bit about the Text Pledge project. um, we are working on an app right now. We have an app for the United States that has all of the emergency numbers that a student would need in a crisis state. And then our website houses national statistics. And it is our vision to grow globally and help create the Text Pledge Project for various nations to keep it a lot more safe, our world a lot more safe, and just work with governments and just create a better ecosystem of humankind.
Great. Well, perhaps you can help us out, Naomi, by just letting us know how we can contact
Yes,
you and
yes.
learn more.
Absolutely. So you can always reach out to any one of us at textpledge.us. Our information we'll definitely provide all the information. I recently wrote an article on mental health and how AI can help, help anyone that is struggling with mental health issues. I really want to encourage anyone to just read that. It is a very, very important article, and I'm pretty proud of it. So, other than that, please download our activity books and just learn. I'll definitely make sure that you have a current version of our adult activity book. It is 244 pages, but it's definitely worth looking at and participating in any of the awesome things that the creators have done.
Great. And what we'll do is any links that we get from you, we will include in the description for this episode. But let's just talk a little bit more directly about the activity books that you're producing. It sounds like you are producing activity books directly for the youth and
Yeah,
then books for the adults, be it the educators, the parents, the cultural
yeah.
activity instructors, anyone who is wanting to engage with those programs. So tell us a little bit about those activity books.
Yeah, so again, our activity books are very age specific
Hmm.
and they'll take you through every single one of our pledges to help, students understand uh, we are just in this fight together. They've been carefully crafted for specific age groups. You're going to see K through 1 as far as a book, uh, 2 through 4. That is a specific book. They're about 100 pages each. And
Hmm.
then 5 and 6, seventh and eighth, and then 9 through 12. And then our college age and adults. I really have been so proud of our team for just really bringing it to light because we've incorporated so many topics that are just
Hmm.
not only our pledges, but we also incorporated topics on things that we've just seen over the course of time. And that is, and let me just give you a couple examples of topics that are in there. Helping veterans of services, for the armies and whatnot. and then helping the elders. Elder care is so important. Being responsible with the use of AI, we felt that that was important, and
Mhm.
also traveling safely on the airlines and other places. We just get so wrapped up in this crazy world of ours that we just wanted to like help. Like, hey, these are some of the issues we're seeing. Let's try
Yeah.
to fix them really quick. And so we're just so happy to have brought these activity books to light. Yeah, we'll make sure that you have the adult activity book. If you are interested in a specific age group of activity books, please reach out to us and we will send you a free one.
Now, just for the benefit of our listeners who are not based in the USA, the terminology that you're using, K1 through 12, that
Yes,
refers to the grades of the learners. They're kind of what
yes.
in some countries called standards or the years of education. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
okay, yes, I'm sorry.
No, no, no.
So early learners,
Yeah.
ages like 5 and 6, there's
Okay.
specific groups for that, or specific activity books for that. And then, grade or ages 7 and 8, specific ages for, or
Hmm.
activity books for that. And then we grow older to like the 10 and 11, another specific book for that. So, as in teens, we have specific books for that. So, they're just all very, very carefully crafted
Yeah.
to make sure that they're aligning with education in here in the States at least. Yeah, so it's a way of life, it's our goal is just like helping others slow down, help them understand it's okay, but you know what? Try to help solve these just issues because if we don't, it's not going to be that great for us.
That's so true. So, Naomi, as a last question for this interview, what advice would you give to someone who has recently been diagnosed with a disability? Where should they start?
Yeah, so sometimes one of the hardest things to accept are the things that we can't control,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And yeah, again, if you're diagnosed with a disability, take a few moments and breathe, right?
Mm,
Because again, your brain could possibly go into crisis mode. I've been diagnosed with this awful disability now. What am I going to do? Freeze, flight, fight, or fawn.
mm,
Take those moments in and breathe. One of the things that I do every day is I start my day with a prayer and just say how grateful I am to be here. You know, I think that with all of the things in the modern day medicines that are happening now, we're starting to find cures for a lot of disabilities and illnesses and things like that. So one thing that I would recommend is keep hope, you
mm.
know, keep hope that it's going to be okay. No matter what, it is going to be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And just keep believing that you're going to make a difference no matter what, and everything that you do matters. Um, I think that we can just go into that realm of what was me, but our time is we have an expiry on our time. None of us get out of here alive. Um, but yeah, just put one foot in front of the other to do what you can to control your controllables every day, and it's gonna be okay.
Thank you. Some very wise words. And talking about making a difference from a lady who has been making a huge difference in teaching the youth of today ways of contributing to making the world a better place. Naomi Riley, thank you so much for joining us on A Different Way of Seeing. It's been such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.